Hi everyone, my name is Feraldridix, I'm a game developer, and today I want to react to a video from Legendary Drops. Great channel, love his content, I've seen multiple of his videos, and it's an interesting title. I think there is a lot to discuss here, so let's start and see what.
High-guard developers, as well as some in games media, have taken to crashing out, blaming the players for the game's failure instead of just confronting reality. I am so sick and tired of players being blamed for failed games. This weird expectation that the customer needs to be there to catch these developers when they fall, that they need to donate their empathy to those who do not understand the customer's needs, do not seem to care, and then want to stand around and act surprised when everybody's upset. This is not a charity. You are asking for people's time, for their money, and for their patience. If you guys just wanted their well wishes, you wouldn't be putting a price tag on it. This is something that the industry at large just doesn't seem to understand. They don't get why players are so upset, why they're so loud, why they won't trust anyone. Instead, what they want to do is they want to call you entitled. Say that you're algorithm poisoned, that you're addicted to outrage, without taking the time to realize they are the ones that created this monster.
There is nothing that the algorithm can do to make people not like your game. The algorithm can make your game more interesting, but not less. What I mean is that the only thing the algorithm can do is push people ideas. If your game is good, it will become popular. Look at Expedition 33. It's still at today very popular because of all the things happening and because everyone loves it. So the algorithm spread the news and they don't need an ADV campaign. But when you make a bad game, honestly, it's a free-to-play game. iGuard had a very high peak of player of 90,000 people playing together. It's not a small one. And if the game was poisoned by this kind of critics, you would have seen that all these people that wanted to review bomb the game would have played it for 1 minute and then review bomb it. If you have someone that spent 30 minutes in the game, it's someone that actively tried to figure out what a game is about. If they spend 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, is real time. They are trying to actually understand what a product is about. They are giving you a chance. It's like when someone watches YouTube videos or a movie. If you have people entering in your into your video and everyone is leaving second one or second two, it's not because they hate you. It's not because they wanted to poison the well. It's just because they don't like your content. They didn't find it interesting. And this is what happened with iGuard. There are other elements at play with iGuard because live service game or game as a service have a huge risk inherited by being live service that we will discuss maybe later if there is a chance. But in general, Jeff Keighley with his spot to iGuard gave them a huge possibility, and please don't say that it's Keighley's fault. Keighley gave them everything they could have ever wanted. The reason why the game failed is not that Keighley gave them the spot, Jeff Keighley, but it's because their trailer sucked. Their trailer was terrible. It's the most generic, boring, bullshit trailer you can ever make. It was made by someone that make trailers most likely for Hollywood or stuff like that. It's a trailer that told me nothing. I was there in real time watching iGuard and I was bored by the trailer. I didn't knew what the other people was thinking about it. I was alone in my room watching at the Game Awards and I saw this trailer and I was like, what the heck is this? It doesn't feel right. The characters were not very interesting. The action is confusing because again, you are selling a free-to-play game that is the same as everything else. Tell me what is your point. Show me exactly what it means to play your game, how it feels like, what it is that you are adding into the mix. And in that trailer, there was nothing of it. It was all high cinematic, shooting around and jumping around and running on horses. And that's it. And I feel like, in their opinion, running on horses was their genius idea, that this is what will sell the game. If that's your idea, I mean, it's okay, you failed. You could have think about it differently. Maybe for some reason you didn't get it. Accept it, and that's it. I don't know why you would think that running on horses was your core game idea and you thought it would sell thousands. I mean, you don't have the Marvel characters. What are you doing there?
They did get one thing right. Players do want to see games fail, but that's not because they're evil or entitled. It's because they're sick of not being listened to. So when words fail them, they realize the only language left was consequences. The video game industry suffers from a severe lack of accountability and self awareness to the point that now it's honestly just getting hard to comprehend. The same lessons get taught over and over, and nothing ever gets learned because the people that are making those mistakes refuse to believe that it is them. And we see this every single time a game fails. There's always an excuse that's deflecting around the obvious. The market's tough. We didn't time our release right. The genre's oversaturated. And now their new favorite, it's the players, it's content creators, it's the
To be fair, this is the fault of the game analysts that they have inside the big corporate offices. They have like these game analysts that will determine why the game will succeed or not and all this stuff, and come up with crazy idea on why they will get high numbers. But to my experience, this is not just a thing from video games. Every single company has bullshit analysts that will make numbers that make no sense. Trust me, I've seen some predictions that were outrageous. They were inflated number just to make people happy. And I think that all these companies had the same issue. It's like, okay, the game analysts say we will sell 20 million copies. Why did we sell 2? And then the game analysts come to you and say, oh, I did another analysis and it's because the market is saturated now, or oh, we didn't time it properly, or whatever, because they don't want to lose their job. And in the market of video games, these kind of things get louder because video game is a very public space. Contrary to many other companies, video game companies are forced to communicate way more. Like if the coffee machine that you bought sucks or doesn't sell enough, it doesn't even make the headline of the newspaper. Oh, we made this new espresso machine, but no one is buying it. Why? And then they will do their internal analysis and no one will know about it. Video games are a bit of a special case because we get to see the communication is crucial, and because of that, the companies are forced to talk the more and more to just get some traction and visibility, and therefore they will explain you what you would usually see internally in the company, what they justify internally in the company. And also keep in mind, every person that talks outside of the company had someone vetting what they say and try to make it look as good as they can for the company. They will never tell you that they failed because the game sucks. Don't expect it. Be honest with yourself. This will never ever happen.
Culture. Apparently, we manifested their failure into existence and unfairly got what we asked for. We've watched this same cycle for the past few years. A game gets announced and it genuinely breaks your brain trying to figure out how that game even got greenlit. Developers in conditions so sheltered that the second that game touches sunlight, it just evaporates. The character designs, the themes, the gameplay, the genre. Players look at it and they feel two things at the same time. Offended that the industry thinks this is worth their money, and frustrated that this industry refuses to save itself. So then what happens? Well, the trailer gets downvoted into oblivion. Social media lights up. People say very clearly and directly, this is not what we want. The industry ignores it, calls it noise, pretends that it's the fringe. And then, while the game launches, nobody shows up. And somehow, yet again, well, it can't possibly be them. No. It has to be the players. In 2026, that game was High Guard. Everybody knew it was going to fail. Everybody said that it would. Hell, I made a video the day after its announcement saying exactly that. It looked half-baked. It looked like it needed more time. It needed to go into beta. That feedback was everywhere. The entire
To be fair, again, what I feel like is they didn't do a good job with their trailer. It was not clear what the game was, and they should have really announced a beta test, an open beta, and gather feedback from the people. Your game is free anyway, and it's not 1 month that will change everything. Make it in a different way. And to be clear, if the game didn't had the spotlight from Jeff Keighley, it would have been just born and dead instantly. The shadow drop would have not changed anything. It would have made it worse. It would have been like 2,000, maybe 10,000 maximum players at day one, and then dropping down very quickly with the same identical reaction from the public. At the best, it would have been ignored, but ignored doesn't mean better. It would have mean less interest, less people talking about it. At least now people know it exists.
internet was criticizing it. Then the game released and it failed. Oh my gosh, what a surprise. Now we have the developers placing the blame at the feet of the players and content creators while assuming none of it themselves. Josh Sobel, one of the technical artists on High Guard, took to Twitter to write a lengthy reflection about how gaming culture destroyed the game. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but you do need to see just how out of touch this mindset.
What does it mean that he said gaming culture destroyed the game? What is gaming culture? Because you are making a video game. If there is something you're pointing at, is the gaming culture and the people in the gaming culture. So what it's like if I say that people didn't like my slaves, I'm just making a metaphor, right? So I sell slaves in whatever country that doesn't accept them, and then I say, well, the reason why my company that sells slaves failed is because of the culture of the country. Yes, exactly. Because why are you trying to sell something that the country doesn't support? You should sell something that the country is interested in, right? Like, how can it be it's your fault for trying to make a product for that specific country, right? If the video game culture is a problem, maybe you should not make video games.
Said is because every time they say this stuff, it just proves the players right. Josh opens with, the day leading up to the Game Awards 2025 was amongst the most exciting of my life. After 2.5 years of passionately working on High Guard, we were ready to reveal it to the world. The future seemed bright. Everyone I knew who had a connection to the team or the project had shared the same sentiments. It's lightning in a bottle. I trust this team wholeheartedly. If there's one project nobody in the industry is worried will fail, it's yours. This has mainstream hit written all over it. There's no way this will flop. I could play this all day.
Okay, so first of all, I have spoken with many people in the industry, and also I was lucky enough to chat with one of the people that worked on Battlefield Hardline. I don't know if you remember Battlefield Hardline, but it was one of the worst titles in the series. Everyone hated it from the trailer. I don't even know why, to be fair, but he was working on that, and I was like, I asked him a question. I was like, dude, when you were working on that game, right, Hardline, did you know that it would have been not so strong? Did you know that it was going to be the failure that it was supposed to be? Or you had no clue, you were working on it like you always do and everything is fine? And what he told me is like, yeah, we had no idea. I mean, how are you supposed to know? The gameplay was there, the things were there. In general, you have a perspective that is relatively small on the project. You will not know until you release it. And I believe this is important to leave it in there. When you develop a game, you don't know, you can think that your idea is great. You don't know what will happen until you release it. It's something that will happen later. You cannot say this was a great idea or a bad idea until the people try it and give you a feedback, because you can love what you're making. It can be the best game ever made for you, and then everyone is like, what the fuck are you talking about? And this is from the perspective of developers developing. Now, with the feedback from the outside, these are very weird feedbacks. I mean, this is lightning in the bottle. I could see someone saying it maybe close to you, like that thinks that the game is fun. And also keeping in mind, when people try games in this kind of instances, they try a short section of the game. They don't have a full vision of the game, because they have to get themselves in the mindset that not everything is perfect and it can be polished. I trust this team wholeheartedly mean fucking nothing. I don't know why would you even place it there as a comment. If I make a game and I make a friend of mine test it and the response is, I trust you really that you will make a good game. I mean, what are you telling me? That my game sucks, but you cannot tell me that my game sucks. It's like, yeah, you will fix it, don't worry. This is how I would interpret it. So I don't know. If there is a project nobody in this industry is worried will fail, it's your. Even these, yes, but this is an investor speech. This is not something that a normal person would say. This is only people that, like, you're talking with another developer in another company and it's like, yeah, we all know you would do well, but if it is a competitor, most likely didn't play the game, so they have no idea. This is again all about trust on you, people making the game. But having the people that made an old game doesn't mean that you were the reason why the game is good. Like, you have to remember this. Every time you hear from the creator, from the people, or from, even when they say BioWare, like from BioWare, the Dragon Age the Veilguard game is not made by the same people that made Dragon Age Origin. That all these people have left. You have to understand this. There is evolution in teams and there is evolution in stuff, and everything changes. They continuously mix. So having the creator of Apex Legend, it means that you have some developers that worked there, but there is no guarantee that they were the good ones. Who told you that they were the one with a good idea that made Apex Legend good when it was released? The game is generic, whatever you want, but technically speaking, it's not a terrible game. I'm pretty sure that developers that worked on this game are good. There is a difference in between the developer and who tell them what to do. The problem here is game director, game manager, gameplay director. These are the people that have to be accused of whatever. I would hire, without thinking too much, any single person that worked in this game, as long as they worked on tell me what to do and I will do it. Because these are all quite polished. I don't see big problems in the game when I look at the game. It's a game that works, the netcode seems to work well, and everything else. So technically speaking, it's a solid game. And also the developers, don't take it personally. I know you are not allowed to say, well, I didn't make these decisions. But this list of things doesn't make any sense. Because again, the success or a failure of a game is all in management. They have to do the planning and it's all on them them. If there is someone you should never hire again in the industry, most likely are the game director and the people that were in management. Those people, sure, they show that they don't know what they are doing. But the game developers themselves, I would not attack them that much. I think that they did a good job from the technical perspective. And remember, their job is not decide whether or not to do something. Don't blame too much the developers, but to the developers, don't take it personally. Shut the fuck up. Like, guys, to everyone that is releasing a video game, if you're not a public person or whatever, before they release a video game, go immediately private with all your social accounts, just in case. And remember, if the game is going to be positively received and everyone likes it, you go public, no one will ever know that you were not public. But if the game is not well received, well, your account was private anyway, so they have no idea about it. Just do it.
Now, either you are surrounded by professionally trained bioengineered gaslighters or you made this the hell up. There is no way. This is way too on the nose.
I think that these were real comments, just they were from the wrong people and is cherry picking what he likes so that he can at least spin it in a different way. Like they are playing the victim. That's it.
It's almost stereotypical. Who would actually go out and say there's no way this game will flop? If there's one project nobody in the industry is worried will fail, it's yours. Jeff, you did this, didn't you? You said this to them. Your
Most
game was
likely.
sheltered. I
It
assumed
is
as much,
true.
and I
It
said
is
as
true.
much in my review after the game had launched. Hell, I even think I said it in my intro. The more that I played it, the more I watched on as people with zero stake in the outcome cheered it on that probably weren't even playing it themselves. The more obvious it became to me and also to everybody else that this game was a casualty of toxic positivity, no different than Concord, because otherwise it would have never made it to market. Mining rocks in a first-person shooter, massive maps with 3v3 and 5v5, even when you bumped it up later, a shooter where players barely engage unless they're standing on an objective, a game that makes you feel like you're only fighting other players, maybe 25% of the time? No progression, no leaderboards, no scoreboard, a hero shooter where the heroes make isekai protagonists look original, and
Sorry. Yes. No, actually, there is something I want to say here. And this is to legendary drops. I understand your feeling on the perspective of how you ever thought about this game mechanic working, but there is something that has to be clarified. After the game came out, it's very easy to attack everything that felt boring in the game. Many of the games that destroyed the industry in the positive way, they come up with stupid ideas that no one believed they could work. And they just made it work in a way that for some reason it worked. I would like to point at Minecraft, right? So let's assume that for some reason Minecraft was not the success that we all know. In 2011-12, a time when all the gaming industry was very heavy on technical side and making game look great and lighting and everything else, Minecraft should have failed from every potential perspective. If you would have pitched Minecraft to any reasonable person, even gamers, no one would have liked it. I didn't play Minecraft for 2 or 3 years because it looked ass to me. And after I tried it, it was one of the best game ever. But again, this is the point. You cannot just say, well, the idea is bad, then the game will be bad, because all these bad ideas sometimes come up and show you something you could not expect. Fortnite is an example. Like, it's a cartoony graphic when there were no shooters like Fortnite. In the past, Fortnite was the first shooter with a cartoony graphic, or not the first one. I know about Splatoon and others, but I'm saying the first super mainstream PC shooter, free to play and everything else. It was a huge success. We all know the success that it was, and it was just because they had the idea of making a cartoony looking shooter. Like, a cartoony looking shooter, who would have ever thought about it, right? And it's all about the mixing of mechanics. It's not the single mechanic, it's not the single thing that make a game bad. Like, no leaderboards, huge map, 3v3, 5v5, fighting only 25% of the time. All of these things could work well if properly assembled together with some other mechanic that will stitch them together. So having this mechanic doesn't make the game bad. That's the only thing I'm saying. It's not obvious from the mechanic perspective if you analyze a single mechanic that a game will be bad or good. That's it.
nobody noticed that. You're trying to tell me nobody said anything. Nobody at a single point said, hey, you know what? Something might be wrong here. This is the stuff that drives players up the wall because it is so self-inflicted. These are not subtle problems. A Candy Crush gamer could call this stuff out. So either you didn't listen, didn't want to hear it, or no one around you was willing to say it. You were surrounded by people that were being supportive for the sake of being supportive, people that cared more about your feelings than they did about your results. And at the end of the day, the product that you made is what happens when you get a shooter that is built inside of a padded room, insular, coddled, and completely disconnected from what players have been asking for and what they have made blatantly obvious over years of public failures. And it's no wonder that you were surprised when your game finally touched reality. Josh continues with his experience.
I understand what he's saying, and yes, there is a huge problem in toxic positivity because you cannot provide any real feedback to the game. You have an idea, you present it, someone scuff it for whatever reason, and you cannot present it again. Or you don't even present it because you're afraid that people may not understand it.
Saying, but then the trailer came out and it was all downhill from there. Content creators love to point out the bias in folks who give positive previews after being flown out for an event, but ignore the fact that when their negative leaning content gets 10 times the engagement of the positive, they've got just as much incentive to lean into a disingenuous direction, whether consciously or not. Now, to save for time, I'm going to summarize a bit. He goes on to say that he got personally targeted too. He went private on Twitter to protect his sanity, and content creators saw that and turned it into a storyline, calling him a coward and sending angry waves of people into his replies. He said people laughed at him for being proud of the game, told him to go fill out a McDonald's application, and even mocked him for listing autism in his bio. I still don't understand why people do that. And I'm just going to stop it right there. Now, this guy is referencing me directly, so I have to respond to this. I am the one that pointed out how preview events are terrible for feedback, that they almost lead to nothing but glowing coverage. I've been to plenty of them. I know how it works. It's not even the point of it being a paid trip part. I think that's the laziest part.
The problem of every preview event, well, especially for a game like this is not the game you can evaluate in 1 hour in a specific environment. And remember, all the preview events are never made for criticism. They don't want the criticism. They don't want feedback. Doesn't matter what they will tell you. What they want is telling them that the game is good and make you feel good. It's a party where all the aspect of the party is meant to make people feel well and to create a positive environment.
Of this conversation. I'm talking about the event itself, the drinks, the food, the social energy, seeing people that you know, seeing people that you don't. You're not locked into judging these games like a customer would. You're basically at a party and the game is just background music. And even if you do have criticism, there is real social pressure there. You are now face to face with these developers. You are surrounded. You are not trying to be the guy who is killing the vibe. That is poison to honesty. That's not bribery. It's just human behavior. But you want to go and flip this into content creators did this to us. That
if you want to see a game event where there was real criticism and it was met with not happy faces from developers, you could look at Kerbal Space Program 2, at the announcement and when the people played it and they got feedback and they did nothing about it. Because the reality is, when you get feedback at a presentation event or one of these events, there is nothing you can do. It's already too late. Performance are bad, the game doesn't play well, you already know it. And here, even if I give you a feedback on the entire way of remaking the game, you will not change it in 1 month. You don't have the time to do it. You are already in the ending phase where you're just cleaning up the code. You're not going to do a critical change like that just based on a feedback from someone. All these events are already too late. So no, it would not change anything. It would have not changed anything. They would have not applied any of the critics they would have received.
Me and others disingenuously attacked your game because negativity gives us 10 times the engagement. You have no idea what you are talking about. And honestly, it explains a lot. It explains why your game failed, why so many other games are failing, why games media is struggling, because you people do not understand other people. You do not understand basic social behavior. And also, for the record, 6 out of the top 12 videos on this channel are positive. I am not some rage merchant that can only function off of hate. Yes, I do critical content. That is the theme of the channel. I compare, contrast, and I react to what's being said.
The term critics come from the origin of criticism. It's very simple. You are criticizing something. You are evaluating something. We should stop thinking that critic has to be positive.
Said around a lot of these games, but my opinions do not create public opinion. They are a lightning rod, a loudspeaker for people who already feel something. Content creators cannot make people love a bad game. We can't make people hate a good one. The people who grow in
the influencer that provides an opinion about something is a convergence point, is a place where other people that have a similar opinion see that actually they are not the only one with this opinion. And the moment you begin to realize that many more people think like you, then you become louder, because at the beginning you're like, oh, I don't like this game. And then your friend thinks the same, and the other one thinks the same, and the other one the same. But as long as you don't know that you are actually not liking the game enough that you would like to talk about how bad it is, you would not do it. But the moment you have a catalyst that lets you know that, yeah, we all think the same, then it makes sense to get together. And the same goes for the positive view.
This space are the ones who naturally resonate with others, not the ones that are trying to force a narrative. Being a contrarian does not work for you. People just want a fresh perspective, true, but at the same time, they are trying to seek out what they are already interested in. Go type in "I hate Dark Souls" into YouTube, and you're going to find a bunch of videos that are just not dominating the conversation. The algorithm is still going to try to shove you into positive Dark Souls videos because that's what people actually want, except for Dark Souls 2, but that was actually a bad game, and that
It
totally
was
deserves
terrible.
to get routinely
Oh
dogged
my
on.
god.
But that's how the
The
internet
worst
works. That's how
possible game ever.
people work. If you genuinely believe that content creators can just decide to tank your game for engagement, then you fundamentally misunderstand how attention works. And if you don't understand how attention works, well, then you probably don't understand how interest works. And if you don't understand how interest works, well, you're going to have a really hard time making something that people are actually interested in. The algorithm does
I
not
agree.
manufacture desire. All it does is amplify it. If negative videos about your game were getting 10 times the engagement, that's not because us creators flipped the switch. It's because that friction was already there. Skepticism was already there. People already had something that they didn't like about it, and the algorithm just poured gasoline on it.
Yep, true.
I really hope game developers are watching this. This is probably the most important and the most valuable bit of insight that I could give you. If you think that content creators cause the reaction, you are missing the most important step. You should be asking, why did the reaction resonate?
We should begin to make a big distinction. All these big corporation games are not the work of developers. The developers are only the people that put things into action. It's like if you watch a movie, you complain to the movie director. You don't complain to the movie staff, to the person that do the camera. You don't complain to the people that are serving the hot dogs, to the crew. You don't complain to the crew itself. And the same goes for video games. Video games are exactly the same as movies. The developers are the cameramen, the camera crew. You should not blame them for a bad game. You can blame them when there are technical challenges, but also there, I mean, we saw it with Pokemon games. We thought that Pokemon games were a problem because Game Freak is full of people that doesn't have any talent. They cannot make a good game even if you give them billions. And then we discovered that they can make games like Beast of Reincarnation, but they still make Pokemon games in the way they are. So it's not the developers. In Pokemon, the textures are terrible not because they don't have texture artists. The game look bad not because they don't have good concept artists. It's just because they cannot do it with the resources they are given, or because the management guidelines do not allow for this. So every time you want to complain about a game, you should stop, focus on developers, focus on single directors, producer, on the company itself. They have no control on it and they want the salary like you want. They are working for the salary like you do. No one of you working for a company they hated is the same. And of course, the moment they come out and they talk public in a given way, you are free to bash them. You should not attack them, but at least I understand why you're upset, because the best thing a developer can do is shut the fuck up, like blend into oblivion. But I don't agree with blaming every single developer of the game.
You should be asking, why aren't people excited? Why are the comments negative? If your first instinct is to blame the amplification instead of the signal, well, all you're doing is just blaming a thermometer for a fever. You are so sheltered that you are instinctively deflecting any type of accountability before it even shows up at your door. Content creation success is about resonance. Video game success is about resonance. You cannot strong arm people into liking something. You cannot strong arm people into hating something. You cannot guilt people into anything. You cannot shame people into showing up. That doesn't work in any industry. So when I see a game developer that comes out that says that they believe that content creators are the ones that drove failure because negativity performs better, what that tells me is somebody believes that attention is something that you can control.
No, they don't believe it. They perfectly know it. It's just that everyone that is in management position is a professional misguider, is a professional at giving the fault to someone else. It's like politicians. When you're asked about a question, the Dow Jones is up to 50,000, right? It's the classical response. So that's the only reason. It's not because of any great scheme. Don't overestimate the brain of these people. Most of the people in management are professional idiots. You are surprised they can even remember to breathe. Trust me.
And if that's the case, it makes a lot of sense why you made a game that you thought people should like rather than a game that they actually did. This industry needs to start asking, why are players so upset? Where are these reactions coming from? Why are they resonating so hard? Why don't they trust us? Why does it seem like they hate us? What do they actually get from our failure? And if they ask those questions, all they would have to do is look in the mirror. Now, I originally wasn't going to comment on any of this developer's posts outside of my live stream because I felt like I had already said what I needed to say in my review. But this last point in his response made me realize just how big this problem actually is and how the industry needs a very clear answer. Josh went on to place the blame at the feet of players, pointing out meme phrases like Concord 2 and Titanfall 3 died for this. He also claimed that the game got
Titanfall 3 would have been a great game. Just make it. Probably the investors were like, we want you to make for us a game as a service as good as Apex Legend or whatever.
hammered at launch with 14K review bombs from users with less than an hour of playtime, saying that most of them didn't even finish the tutorial. And then he says this.
Well, if they didn't finish the tutorial, maybe it means that your game was already, like you could spot already at the beginning that your game was not that interesting, right?
Yes. In the discussions about Highguard, Concord, 2XKO, and such, it is often pointed out by gamers that developers like to blame gamers for their failures. And that's silly, as if gamers have no power, but they do, a lot of it. I'm not saying our failure is purely the fault of gamer culture and that the game would have thrived without negative discourse, but it absolutely played a role.
No, it didn't play a role. Your game was not interesting, accept it, and that's it.
All products are at the whim of consumers, and the consumers put an absurd amount of effort into slandering high.
I hate the way this guy is talking because everything is so stupid. Yes, all products are at the whim of consumers. And you are selling to them. If your product doesn't resonate with them, it's your fault and no one else's fault. It's not the culture, it's nothing else, it's your fault.
Guard, and it worked. Look, man, I don't want to repeat myself, but this game was not review bombed, and I'm so sick of seeing developers try to hide behind this excuse. Yes, there were troll reviews like there always are, but a ton of the sub 1 hour reviews were mostly people that were talking about crashing performance issues and actual gameplay problems. A high guard match is 8 to 30 minutes. That is plenty of time for you to know if you are having.
And to be clear, half an hour in a game is already enough to figure out if you like it, especially if you have a tutorial. You may not like the shooting, you may not like something else, you may not like the mechanic they're telling you. I sometimes refund games on Steam in 10 minutes. I buy the game on Steam, I figure out if I like it in 10 minutes. I already know if I like it.
Fun. People didn't like the game, they stopped playing it, end of story. You do not get to under 2,000 concurrent players and layoffs because of review bombing. You get there because you have a poorly managed studio that didn't take in any feedback, and you made a game that people did not want to play. And for all the comments on the players, this industry,
I would say most likely just because people didn't want to play the game,
needs to stop blaming the culture that they created. I'm going to say that again as clearly as possible because for whatever reason, people in this industry still want to act confused as to why players are so savage. You created this, not us. Stop blaming us for your mistakes, start making better games, or find another fucking job. It is not gaming culture's fault that you go on social media looking for affirmation and praise for your video game. That is on you. You are the one that put your balls in a bear trap. There is part of me, and I will say this, when I hear these discussions and I hear these devs talking about all the hate that they receive, how there has to be a better way to communicate, I think to myself, you know what? Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I'm taking this a little bit too personally. And then I snap out of it because I don't support these guys getting attacked. I don't attack them. I don't send people their way. This is all tone policing coming from people that are...
If you have to attack someone, focus on the one that matter. Focus on the management. Focus on who gives them money, because very, very often a game sucks because the people that give them money come up with stupid ideas and say you have to do it, and you are not allowed to not do it.
Asking for my money. It is a way to strawman this entire conversation by pointing out freaks online who send threats so that you don't have to deal with normal customers saying this sucks. And if you ignore normal feedback long enough, you teach people the only language that you respond to is consequences. You want to know why players are so mad? You want to know why they don't trust you? You want to know where this culture is coming from? We went from buying and owning our own games to an industry that is actively litigating and lobbying against our right to ownership, pressuring us into subscription services so they can drip feed us access and eventually feed us ads inside of games that we already paid for. We watched an industry with no microtransactions turn into an industry that begs for more money at every opportunity. Microtransactions turning into macro transactions, bundles that cost more than full games, skins that are pushing $500, hidden stores for whales who have already spent $10,000 so that people can drop almost $50,000 on a spaceship. And even when we do try to support indies or Kickstarters, well, they still get bait and switched and left with nothing.
Most indie games that you supported are great. Let's be honest with this. Ashes of Creation is a unique, specific case. I don't think that this is a good example, to be fair, because it's a one-off
Thing. We stand by and suffer while the industry parades around purposefully misinterpreted data claiming that women make up 50% of gamers and then use that as a cover to drain personality, flavor, and challenge out of our games that we've supported for years, studios that we have supported for years, all in the name of wider appeal, to the point that you now have the producer of World of Warcraft saying that, well, they wish they hadn't called it Warcraft because it sounds too intimidating.
I will not say anything about this. You can read my mind.
That's where we're at right now. The end result of this has been an industry that is so greedy and so blind and so tone deaf to their audience that they can't even see the cliff that they are driving off of, even with every single sign screaming at them to turn around. Everything is TAM, total addressable market. This fantasy that there are millions upon millions of gamers that are out there that they just haven't captured yet. We just gotta find them. Meanwhile, the people that are actually keeping these guys in business are getting treated like obstacles. So they keep slopping out remasters and remakes to farm our nostalgia. They poison our experiences with more monetization to satisfy their investors. And even while they're making more money than they ever have, they still have the gall to tell us that we need to pay even more. And it hasn't stopped. The industry is fully committed to this idea of trying to take as much as it possibly can from its audience, squeezing, extracting, pushing, to the point that it's now costing them their quality and it's costing us our enjoyment. Ask the developers of Highguard, who were apparently only given a couple of weeks to design their characters because apparently they had concept artists moonlighting as people that were managing their microtransactions. We see you, we know what you are, you're not fooling anybody.
To be fair, I mean, I don't think that 3 weeks can justify, like, the fact that you only had 3 weeks doesn't justify the character looking bad, because the character doesn't look bad. It's just pointless, anonymous, but it was a choice of design from the beginning. I understand that you were under pressure, but just say what it is, that you got instruction on the style of characters that was make them generic and anonymous, because all the other stuff do not matter.
Don't try to give us any of this "we tried to do it the indie way" shit. I remember not all that long ago, Mark Dara, formerly of BioWare, went onto YouTube after the backlash of Dragon Age the Veilguard with a video that was titled $70 Doesn't Buy You Cruelty. Same playbook, same tone policing that we're seeing right now, dragging out the most extreme examples so that normal criticism gets framed as evil. Another game that was supposed to be live service that pivoted last minute, stuff with messaging for an audience that was outside of its own, unrecognizable from what came before. And then right after that, we had an executive from EA saying out loud that they thought that fans would eat up whatever they put out because the nerds in the cave always show up for an RPG because it's an RPG. Yeah,
I remember this.
But then those players didn't show up. What these guys haven't realized yet is,
well, that manager was not referring to the Dragon Age Veilguard. It was, I think, Dragon Age 2 or Inquisition.
that the players have shifted right alongside the industry, an industry that has been in contempt of its own audience, serving up slop and trying to extract as much revenue as possible until people finally internalize the truth that this Highguard developer just stumbled upon. Players do have the power. We use it, and we use it with purpose. This industry has taught their audience that the only language that they understand, the only language that matters, is money. Not essays, not forums, not surveys, money. So they go out and they downvote these trailers into oblivion. They roast these games on social media. They watch videos and support creators that are already talking about what they're thinking. And they then go and do the one thing that they know that always lands. They don't buy it. They don't play it. And I hope you know that when these players start rooting for failures, it's not because they hate games. It's because they see where this industry
I love that he's trying to be polite, but the reality is not because they hate games, because they hate you.
is going. And they would rather watch this entire thing collapse and burn and rebuild it all over again than being dragged down this same road even further. How can anybody be surprised with how players act today? Yeah, they're more hostile than ever, but the industry itself is more hostile than ever. We have more gambling psychology pumped into these games to the point that even Vegas would start blushing. Ownership is starting to vanish. We have microtransactions that have infested nearly every single experience. Slop just keeps getting served to the players, and we're expected to pay for it. Prices keep going up. We're done with it. They're not going to eat the slop anymore. They're going to make you eat the slop like you deserve. I think what a lot of people fail to realize is they really love their video games. They are very passionate about this hobby. This is the way that they escape. This is the way that they get away from a lot of the problems that plague them in life that now are starting to plague them in games, and that's just not going to work. This is how people make a lot of friends, meet up and hang out with a lot of the friends. I mean, a couple of guys that I know still to this day are people that I played Modern Warfare 1 with way back in the day. And you have a lot of people right now that are just not happy with the direction that the games industry is going in, and they're showing how unhappy they are right now. Now, I'm going to say I make these videos purely out of selfishness. It's because I want games to get better for me, because I want to play better games. I want more games that are made for me. And I am so lucky, insanely lucky, that I get the amount of support that I get from my audience and from a bunch of other people on YouTube that, you know, there's a lot of people that resonate with the messages that I have, with the discussions that I have, with the opinions that I have, which goes to show that there's a lot of people that are out there that feel the exact same way that I do. And that does not mean anything good for the games industry. I'm going to tell you that right now, because I am not a very happy customer. You have to confront that. You have to figure out a way to be able to harness that. I know that that's possible. You can use that to make better games. Tools have never been more available. Information's never been, knowledge has never been more available. And the ability to get feedback and connect with customers and get a pulse on culture has never been easier to do. It is just a click away. All you have to do is just listen and make better games. All you have to do is just put in the effort to understand and make better games. If we can get away from this self-absorbed games if we can get away from this self-absorbed games industry that we have been infested by for so long, where people want to have their cake and eat it too, where they think that they can just do whatever they want and that players are going to show up and pay for it. I'm sorry, that's just not how this works. I mean, look at the tens of thousands of indie games that don't get purchased every single year. Most of these guys don't even make the $100 licensing fee to get put onto Steam. You have to understand that people are not going to show up for everything. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully people understand why people hate video games or why people are so mad at the games industry right now. I really do hope this message gets through. If you guys enjoyed this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, share it on social media. Definitely share it on social media. Share it on all the medias. Make them know. Let them know. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Peace.
I agree totally with whatever he says. I mean, in general, I enjoy his content, and I'm a gamer before anything else, and that's why I want to make my own games and not be bounded by the way companies are working in the industry. But to be fair, I don't believe that you can really change. It's not about the information. These people know very well what player wants. Don't be misguided. They know what player wants, but that's not the point. They want to control what player gets because they expect, and what they want is that if they move the stick far enough, if they are able to make the entire industry move in one direction, they can enjoy the benefit from that, because they want to destroy the competition. As long as there is competition like the indie games that propose extreme value for cheap, and cheap means still sustainable, by the way, they cannot make more profit. And remember, all these companies only think about one thing, that is full profit. To all game developers, if you work it in a game that is going to be released, just put all your account into private and wait to see what happens. If the shit is coming to the shove, shut the hell up, don't talk, don't cry loud for whatever reason. It's not the fault of the industry, it's your fault, okay? Maybe you don't know what it means to play a nice video game. Maybe you should spend more time playing video games rather than just developing them. And I'm talking to the guy, Joshua, whatever, that made this game, that talk like, oh, everyone told me that it was good. Not our fault, complain to them if you want to complain to someone. Perfect. See you in the next one. Bye.